Okay, shalom, shalom, kwam yashala, koholoimla, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakahakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders, the great millstone who rule well, that by the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth, and just want to say throughout to all the H.I.M and Akhwa that's out here, sincerely keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai to the best of their ability. Jachanan the Waf just coming at you with another quick lesson, and pray that it's edifying by the Spirit. And I just wanted to touch on a few of the laws. I was reading through Deuteronomy chapter 22. That goes off into the rape doctrine. Or the grape. Because that's been coming out quite a bit. They say GMS are rapists and all this other stuff. They're bearing false witness. They're slandering. But that law is actually in the scriptures. But also, as I was reading through this particular chapter, Deuteronomy 22, let's go to it. And I'm just thinking, like, what if, matter of fact, let me go to the blue letter on it. I already had it up. What if our people, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which are Hebrew Israelites, that's your true nationality. You're not blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, Haitians, Jamaicans, Latinos, Dominicans. Those are names that your oppressors gave you. When the so-called white man came in, swooped down, and ravaged you, our grandparents, our foreparents, our ancestors, they beat our culture and our name out of us and everything out of us, and they replenished us with what they wanted us to know. So we're going by these heathenist names today, bywords. Actually, that's what they're called in Deuteronomy chapter 28, because that's not our nationality. Our nationality is we're Hebrew Israelites. We come from one of the 12 tribes of Israel. Jacob, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Jacob's name was changed into Israel, Yashala, Prince of the Power. He had 12 sons. We all come from one of those 12 sons. And like I said, I was going through this. Now, just think, if our people were just living by the 10 Commandments, how much different our communities would be. If we, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery, covetousness, so on and so forth. The children honoring their mother and their fathers, and all these different commandments. What if we was living by just those 10? We would be the so-called white man. He would be out of business, man. When it comes to his idolatry, as far as like, first off, we will be a lot more richer. We will have a lot more money because we wouldn't be going to these churches and giving our money in the name of white Jesus. We would be a lot healthier because we wouldn't be eating the abominable foods. Just things that the Lord told us not to do. If we was living by those laws, we would be so much further and so much richer and so much in a better state, man. So I just wanted to read through Deuteronomy chapter 22. And I'm going to read it in the NLT and just kind of read through it. Just, and just to show, like, if we was doing these things, the so-called white man would be out of business as far as lawyers, because we wouldn't be attacking each other. There wouldn't be no adultery. There wouldn't be no reason for police officers to even roam our neighborhoods, because there wouldn't be no crime. And with no crime, there's no lawyers being needed, so they would lose money there. There would be no judges being needed. They would lose money there. There would be no jails, no security guards, no probational officers, no, even amongst our children, there wouldn't be no DPS or no child protective services coming through to take the children. There wouldn't be any of that stuff. The so-called white man, he gets paid in so many ways, man. If we wasn't smoking cigarettes, if we wasn't smoking weed, if we wasn't eating all these abominable foods that keep us at the doctors, keep us in the hospitals, they wouldn't make as much money off of funerals like how they do, as fast as they do off our people, because our people wouldn't be dying at the rate that they're dying at. They would be living a lot longer, We would be a larger community of people, we would have a lot more love. But let me read through some of these. Now, this is Deuteronomy chapter 22. Let me start from verse 1. I'm going to read it in the NLT over here to the right, just to breeze through it. If you see your neighbor's ox or sheep or goat wandering away, don't ignore your responsibility. Take it back to its owner. So if we was doing that, hey, that my fellow brethren, he lost some property. I get it back to him. That means that he's gonna save money. He's not gonna have to buy that over again. Or he, that's his goat. They give milk. You can make cheese. Different things. Your animal. You know what I'm saying? It can be an ox or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Plowing the fields. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, you giving back what belongs to your brethren. So that in turns means that he has his property back. He's not going to buy that again. And you would want that done to you. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so it says, verse 2. If its owner does not live nearby, or you don't know who the owner is, take it to your place and keep it until the owner comes looking for it. Then you must return it. You don't be no sneaky ass Jake. You know for a fact that Jake will see you drop money and put his foot on it. That's wicked as hell. If you see your brother drop money, or he drop his wallet, or he drop something, just drop something in general. Hey, excuse me, bro, you dropped something. You dropped some money. You dropped this. You dropped that. Jake will try and keep your shit. You know? So just think if we was applying just these two laws so far, right? Verse 3. Do the same if you find your neighbor's donkey, clothing, or anything else your neighbor loses. Don't ignore your responsibility. Here you go, you got Jake climbing underneath cars and cutting off catalytic converters of their brother, man. Now the brother's car out here loud as hell. He's got to spend hundreds of dollars to try. Just different stuff, man. Robbing Jake, sticking Jake up, overcharging Jake, man. You see? Verse 4. If you see your neighbor's donkey or ox has collapsed on the road, do not look the other way. Go and help your neighbor get it back on his feet. See? We're supposed to be helpful towards each other, man. That's why, going into Deuteronomy chapter 28, it says that, we were tender and delicate towards each other. Now we have an evil eye. Just think if we was keeping simple laws like this, man. You see? Verse 5. A woman must not put on men's clothing, and a man must not wear women's clothing. Anyone who does this is detestable in the sight of the Lord your God. See? We're not supposed to be playing role reversals out here, man. A man's supposed to be a man, a woman's supposed to be a woman. But what does the so-called white man do in America? Every time you look up at a damn commercial, it's two so-called black men together as if they're, a couple. Or mostly they generally show two black men, so-called black men, together in these commercials. Just pay attention to it. I seen a commercial the other day. It was two. They had two so-called black men walking on the beach, and they meet up with a white woman and a white man. Just on some old, hey, how you doing? And I'm thinking to myself, like, why couldn't it have been two white men and a male and female so-called black couple? But that's the way the so-called white man gets down. And we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, man. Okay, verse 6. If you happen to find a bird's nest in a tree or on the ground, and there are young ones or eggs in it, with the mother sitting in the nest, do not take the mother with the young. You see? You want to leave the mother because the mother is going to bring forth more eggs, which will bring forth more birds. You take the mother along with the young, you done killed a supply chain. Come on, man. And I know we're not into that these days, but there was a time when we was doing stuff like this. Especially in the South, here, if you own a little bit of land. Verse 7. You may take the young, but let the mother go, so that you may prosper and enjoy a long life. See? You want to continue on getting those eggs out of that. It's like you don't want to kill the damn hen and take she's laying eggs. Let the damn eggs hatch. At least you can take eggs for breakfast, but you at least want some of them to hatch, but you want that mother to stay alive so she can continue on providing you with food. Right? Verse 8. When you build a new house, you must build a railing around the edge of its flat roof. That way you will not be considered guilty of murder if someone falls from the roof. That's like you being, a house with a balcony. You got a second story, and you got a deck off the second story. You need banisters there to keep somebody from just walking off the edge of it. You see that all the time. When you're walking through a mall or something like that, you may see, and it's got 3 or 4 floors to it or whatever. and it's got those banisters there. You see, because you can be sued. Okay, and then it keeps you safe. It keeps your brethren safe. Verse 9. You must not plant any other crop between the rows of your vineyard. If you do, you are forbidden to use either the grapes from the vineyard or the other crop. Well, basically, you don't want no intermingling. Matter of fact, in the KJV, it puts it better to me. Though thou shalt not sow thy vineyard with diverse seeds, lest the fruit of thy seed which thou hast sown and the fruit of thy vineyard be defiled. Because you don't want it all growing together. You want to keep it separate, man. Okay, verse 10. You must not plow with an ox and a donkey harnessed together. That's because that's just imbalance, man. An ox is stronger than a donkey. You're gonna first off, you're really not gonna get no work done like that, because that ox is gonna keep on plowing through. That donkey is gonna be stubborn as hell, and they're just not compatible like that. It says, verse 11, you must not wear clothing made of wool and linen woven together. And that's a process as far as like, because clothing and cloths, they give off energies, man. Linen generally keeps you cool and it really keeps you cool. It keeps you at a good temperature. That's why a lot of people like to sleep on linen sheets and linen pillowcases. It's a better sleep, as opposed to you got it mixed with some shit that's got you itching all night. Okay, verse 12. You must put 4 tassels on the hem of the cloak, which you cover yourself on the front, back, and sides. That's going into the fringes. Thou shalt make the fringes upon the 4 quarters of thy vesture, wherewith thou coverest thyself. So that goes off into the fringes, and the fringes was to remind us of the law. And what does the laws do? They keep us alive. It's life to the laws. It's life to the law, statutes, and commandments. It's life in what the Lord is telling us to do, man. That's the reason why we're in such bad shape, because we didn't do what he told us to do. You see, but there's life in the scriptures, man. But those fringes, and though we're in captivity, today, and, I know that like the apostles, of GMS, the elders, generally would say just use wisdom when you're out with fringes on, or you going to work and all this other stuff, because you're putting a target on your back. Really, in reality, they kind of use the mindset of Clark Kent and Superman. When you're at work, you're Clark Kent. When you get off, you're Superman, so to speak. They don't need to know your identity, and especially in this day's climate, right? Okay, but anyway, those fringes are to remind us of the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Verse 13. Suppose a man marries a woman, but after sleeping with her, he turns against her, and publicly accuses her of a shameful conduct, saying, when I married this woman, I discovered she was not a virgin. So, the title on this is Regulations for Sexual Purity, right? In the KJV it says, if any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her, Salakia. Get back to where we was here. If any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her, and give occasion of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I find her not a maid. So, you'll have a nigga that's just like he married the woman, now he's not feeling her. You know what I'm saying? And basically he'll slander her and say, hey, she wasn't a virgin. That was a real big thing back then, a real serious accusation, to say that she wasn't a virgin. Now let's see what the law has to say on that. Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring, and I'm reading the KJV now. I'm going to go ahead and read through the KJV. Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city of the gate. Now, if you're not familiar with the tokens of the virginity, they had a ritual or process where the man and woman would go in and have sex, but they would lay like a sheet down, or almost like a bed sheet today, and they would lay it underneath them. So when the man went into the woman, he would break her hymen, and blood would come out onto that sheet, and then they would fold that sheet up, And the parents would keep it as a token for just in case a nigga like this pops up and says she wasn't a virgin. Now, now let's go into the law. If he slandered her, let's get it. It says, and the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughters unto this man to wife, and he hated her. And lo, he hath given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid. So basically saying, I found her not a virgin. Somebody done already hit. And yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. Now the father, he's got the evidence that, hey, look, I took very good care of my daughter. But hey, my daughter was a virgin when I gave him to him. You know what I'm saying? He has the tokens, man. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city, and the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him. See? So they punish him. And they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver. I mean, that was a lot of fucking money back then. 100 shekels of silver. And gave them unto the father of the damsel, because he hath brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Israel. And she shall be his wife. He may not put her away all his days. Damn. Whew, 100 pieces of silver, man. That was a lot of money. But that kept a man from that type of evil. That's the reason why that law was in place. If a man knew that he had to give up 100 pieces of silver because he done lied, and then he still had to be with the woman, hey, that's a pocket hitter right there, baby. Verse 20. So you see, I'm just going off into these things. If our people were keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments are beautiful, man. That's why when the new covenant comes in and they're written upon our minds and our hearts, man, it's gonna be mind blowing, man. How beautiful of a people we're gonna be, man, when that comes into play. Because right now we're just downtrodden and trash, man. Verse 20. But if this thing be true, now this is if she wasn't a virgin. Now this is what happens if she wasn't a virgin. Check it out. But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity, be not found for the damsel. See, that's why it was so important that the father and mother keep that. You know? It says, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones that she die, because she hath wrought folly in Israel, to play the whore in her father's house. So shalt thou put evil away from among you. So this is how important it was, because it was a highly shameful thing for a father to have his daughter. I mean, it's nothing these days. But back then, man, if your daughter was out here playing the whore, all the men of the city, not the women, but them women was gonna hear about it. You best believe that. Matter of fact, they was gonna be witness it. They'd have seen it. She getting bust all upside her goddamn head, lumped all up, chunks of meat flying, eye socket popping open, nose broken, teeth being broken out. Cause you know Jake was big back then in the days, man. You thought Jake out here throwing down baseball size stones at a chick, man. And you know women was frail, breaking her shins. She trying to block her arms and her elbows and shit getting broke up, her fingers getting broke. Come on, man. That was a brutal thing back then, man. But just think about it. If this was going on today, think about how pure our women would be. Our women wouldn't be out here with them asses out. You best believe that. They wouldn't be out here TikToking and Instagramming and all this other shit that they doing. All in rap videos. They out here doing porn and shit. I mean, come on, man. This is how special these laws, statutes, and commandments was for us back then, man. Okay, so let's move on. It's only a few more verses in this. It's only 30 verses. We already at 22. Let's go ahead and roll on through this. Deuteronomy 22 and 22. If a man be found laying with a woman married to an husband, here you go. This is the adultery, man. If a man be found, and this shit goes on a day-to-day basis, man. And in America, it's legal. It's legal. But by the Lord's law, and you can still get put to death, man. Even though it's not the ancient days, the Lord can still put you to death in any kind of way that He chooses out here. And a lot of people get put to death during in the domestic violence situations, man. Cause when Jake get jealous, man, that shit is not pretty. Okay, it says, if a man be found lying with a woman married to an husband, then they shall both of them die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman. So shalt thou put away evil from Israel. See? Oh man, I done it again. Because that is an evil act. But what does America do? She can leave him with his kids. She can leave him with his kids, go get with another nigga and have him pay child support. That shows you how wicked this place is, man. But like I said again, if we was keeping these few laws, man, we will be far better off as a nation. And guess what? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, would lose so much money. Because like I said, the law system in this country, the jail system in this country, the whole system of it is all predicated upon Jake going the fuck off, man. Our people are out here committing all these sins and atrocities towards our own people, and they ain't doing nothing but making the so-called white man money, hand over fist, man. Verse 23. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto an husband, and a man find her in the city, and lie with her, then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and ye shall stone them with stones, that they die. The damsel, because she cried not. Now this is a law that's going on with the rape. This is what we was talking about. This is what the apostles was bringing up when you got all these damn idiots out here that just don't understand that rape is in the scriptures and that the Lord has a law for it. That's all that the apostles was explaining. Now this is one of them right here, right? Now you had a law where if the woman was in the city, and you had a law as to whether the woman was not in the city and she was out like in in the forest or a field, or she wasn't in a city setting, out where there wasn't really people around. See, now let's get it. Then ye shall bring them both. Let me go back up. Verse 23. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto an husband, which means that, see, betrothed kind of means, almost like you're engaged. They will call it an engagement today. But actually, if you was betrothed, you was actually already married. You just didn't have a ceremony as of yet, and they haven't come together and had sex yet, because sex consummates the marriage. It's not the American thing of somebody getting on bended knee, placing a ring on a woman's finger, asking her, will you marry me, and all this shit, and some white man with a collar on telling you, now I pronounce you man and wife, and now you may kiss your bride. That shit is not in the scriptures. None of that is in the scriptures. When you was betrothed to a man, because back then, these were arranged marriage. This was father speaking to, the other father of maybe that son and the son. This was a man thing. Women really didn't have no choice back then. Well, they didn't have no choice. It wasn't that they just didn't have no choice, because that was just the way that it was, man. This was the order that the Lord had set up in the Ancient of Days, man. Okay, it says, Salakia, if a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city, and lie with her, then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and ye shall stone them with stones, that they die. So, hey, if she was engaged, so to speak, today, and she got with a dude, her ass got stoned right along with that dude, man. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city. See, if you're in the city, there's people around. You should be able to cry out and say, hey, I need help, whatever. This nigga's attacking me, right? And the man, because he hath humbled his neighbor's wife, so thou shalt put away evil from among you. If you notice, in the end of each one of these verses, basically, it's saying to put away evil from among you, because that's evil. And if a person seen that, a person would think twice, like, about doing shit like this. Like, oh, hell no. I seen how such and such, man, that rock hit him in the face and tore off his nose. He looked like he was in such excruciating. Man, can you imagine seeing somebody get stoned with edgy rocks? We ain't talking about like, the size of damn softballs, but with edges on them. This, that could cut through the skin, man. Can't even imagine that shit. And with a woman, and not only a woman but a man. Damn big ass stones. Here you go. You got 1,000, two. Ain't no telling how many people, man. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people lumping your ass up, man. Big ass dudes. We talking about niggas the size of Shaq. Throwing. Come on, man. Man, you have to imagine. See, that's why the apostle said to imagine these things. When you're reading the scriptures, place yourself there, man, in the imagination. Okay? It says, verse 25. Now, this is the other side of it. Because there's stages to this rape thing. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, see, this is different right here. This is not in the city. This is in a field. And the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. See? So the man, because if she was in the field, she might have, she screamed out, but there's nobody around. That's why it's different from the field and in the city. In the city, somebody, they gonna be like, well, bitch, we would have heard you. Why we ain't hear you? Ain't nobody hear you? Because our cities was kind of packed at the time. It was always somebody around, man. Rustling and bustling, man. Verse 25. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man rises against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter. So that goes along with that same law as far as murder. As far as the victim wise, right? Verse 27. For he found, matter of fact, you know what? Let me cross-reference that real quick because they got the law in here on that. Or they have it in Deuteronomy 21 and 22, a chapter back. It says, and if a man have committed a sin worthy of death, and he be put to death, and thou hang him on a tree. Let me see what else it says. Okay, no, okay, so this is, all right. It's not going up into it like how I want to. But anyway, let's keep to the subject here. Because that's basically going off into, she's not guilty because she couldn't scream out. She could have been screaming out and there was nobody to help her. And big ass Jake just overpowered her and then just took the box, man. And humbled her. You know what I'm saying? So his ass will be put to death, but she wouldn't be because, there was nothing she could do and nobody heard her. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, we was at verse. Let's go to verse 27. For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. That's the reason why she wouldn't be stoned along with him in this particular situation. Okay, verse 28. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin. Now here's another one. Here's another scenario. So you got the city. If she don't cry out in the city, then both of them get stoned. If in the field, only the man gets stoned. But now in this particular situation right here, let's get this one. Here's another account of the rape process, man. Verse 28. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, so she's not engaged, she's not, with nobody, and lay hold on her and lie with her, and they be found. See? If they get found, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver. See, now here's a payout on this one. And she shall be his wife. See? Because he hath humbled her, he may not put her away all his days. Now that's a process as well. Because first off, 50 shekels is a lot of money from back then. He humbled the woman. He would have to be with her for the rest of for the rest of her life. He couldn't ever put her away. She can get fat, sloppy, to just be the worst wife ever. He couldn't ever do nothing about it. He would have to be with that woman because he took the box. And that's another part of that grape hookup, man. Right? Okay? Let me get that back again. Then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her. He may not put her away all his days. A man shall not take his father's wife, nor discover his father's skirt. And you have that even going on. A man must not marry his father's former wife, for this would violate his father. You know, you're not supposed to be. See, but there are people that are out here that shit is going on in the Americas like it's nothing. It's commonplace. You know, people will be talking shit, but you know, there's no penalties to it here in this place, man. There's no penalties to this place, man. But these are just Deuteronomy chapter 22, 30 verses, and just giving examples of, okay, if we kept these particular things, we would be better off as a community. Easily. You can't say that we wouldn't be. These are just a few things. So I just wanted to just touch on that, man. And also going off into the rape process, you can get that process in Deuteronomy chapter 22. Just read through it. It's really, really simple. Because that's one of the main things that I wanted to touch on in this particular chapter. Because you have these groups out here slandering GMS, talking about their grapists. And it's, we have to use that code grapist. But I even seen a video today on Sakari where he Gorilla Hebrew was talking about he didn't agree with the apostles as far as the grape process goes. It's in the scriptures. We just read it. There's a process as if a man, he took the box in the city. If the woman cried out, that man would be put to death. You see? But if she didn't cry out, both of them was getting put to death. Then you got the situation where if she got caught in the field and he overpowered her and there was no one around that she could cry out to, he would be put to death and she wouldn't be. Then you have the process where if she wasn't betrothed to nobody, if she wasn't engaged. Matter of fact, let me say that back. In the first situation, if there was a woman that was married, first off, if you slept with another man's wife, then both of you were put to death. If there wasn't no cry out about it, if she didn't cry out. And in the field, if this woman was betrothed to somebody else, you know what I'm saying, or engaged, and he just took the box, he would be put to death because she had nobody to cry out to. Then you have the third situation where if she wasn't with nobody at all, she wasn't betrothed to nobody, engaged to nobody, and the dude just took the box. Hey, now he had to pay that woman's father 50 shekels of gold, 50 shekels of silver, Salakia, and he would have to marry that woman and be with her for life. And that's the process. Those are the laws on rape in the scriptures, man. And you got to have tough skin when it comes to these scriptures. Because a lot of people, they just too damn soft, man, when it comes to the bitter things of the scriptures, man. The Bible is not squeaky clean. You can forget about that. But what does the Christian church teach you? The Lord loves everybody. The Lord loves the sinner, but he hates the sin. Ha! That's all you hear from them clowns, man. That's the reason why when these scriptures come out in the streets and people like, huh? And then you got IUIC out here slandering the apostles and the brothers. And they, hey, if they don't repent, the Lord is going to deal with them, man. Something serious, man, with that slander. Because that's also in the scriptures. That's also one of those laws. You're not supposed to be slandering your brethren, man. You're not supposed to be slandering your neighbor, man. That's another thing, that if we would stop that bullshit, gossiping, all kinds of talk, we would be better off as a community, man, because like I said, the crime rate would plummet. There would be virtually no crime in our neighborhoods if we just kept these few law, statutes, and commandments, man. So with that, I pray that this lesson was edifying. Kwam Yashala.